Assalamu alaikum viewers, welcome to my channel The Faiza Edits. Here you'll find sewing, alteration, knitting, crochet, smart cooking, meal prep, product reviews, and different mom life hacks. If you're a busy mom like me, you're in the right place. If you find my videos helpful, please subscribe to my channel. Alright, so let's get started. If you have a ready-made kurti that fits you perfectly and you want to stitch a similar one at home, this video is for you. Today I'll show you how to take accurate measurements from a ready-made kurti step by step so you can use them for cutting and stitching without using any paper pattern. So let's start. First, let's open. So first thing first is that I'm using two different color inch tapes over here so that I can explain what are the two type of measurements and how you are going to go about it. Okay, so here is the shirt. Now there are two types of measurements. One is the vertical measurements, that is the lengthwise, and one is the horizontal measurements, which is the widthwise. So I will be using, I think I'll be using the blue one for the vertical measurements, and I'll use pen so that you can see how I'm going about it. So this is basically length, okay, up to down. The vertical measurement is from up to down and the horizontal measurement is from right to left, okay. So let me go ahead and grab some pens. Now the top of your shirt where you pin your inch tape is, of course you're not going to pin it, but I'm just telling you that shoulder is always in a slope, okay, it's in a slope. So you are going to measure right from here where your neckline starts. This is from where you have to start. You are not going to take the measurements from here. It will be ½ inch off if you'll take it from the seam where the where the sleeve is attached to the shirt. So you're not going to take the vertical measurements from here, but from here, right from here where your neckline starts. Okay, so I've grabbed some pens and I'm going to pin it over here so that it doesn't move, and I can explain how you can take the other measurements. So you have to run your inch tape all through until the length of your shirt. So this is the vertical measurement. Now comes the horizontal measurement. Okay, so first of all, we'll talk about the shoulders. So from this seam, let me make sure I'm in the camera. From this seam where the sleeve is attaching to the shirt, right from this seam until this seam is your shoulder, okay. So lay it flat. You don't want to stretch it excessively, just lay it flat as the shirt is naturally. So just lay it flat and just measure from this seam until this seam, okay, from this seam until this seam. I hope I'm in the camera. So from this point to this point, it is 14.5, and this is for small size, okay. So from this seam to this seam, exactly on this seam is 14.5, and this is the shoulder. All right, now we'll go down and we'll take the chest measurement. From this seam where the sleeve is ending, the armhole is ending, and where the shirt is starting, right from here, from this point, okay, right from here until this point is your chest measurement. So from here until here is your chest measurement, and in this case it is 19.5, okay. So this one is 19.5, this one, the shoulder was 14.5, this is 19.5, and then as you can see there is no shape in here, okay, there is no shape in this particular shirt. And there is, if there would be a shape over here, then you would have taken the measurement of the waist over there. Now, the point to note over here is that once you are taking the measurement of the chest, you can mark over here that what is the vertical measurement. So on the vertical line, it's coming at 8.5 inches. So this is where you have to draft your armhole. 8.5 inches is where you have to draft your armhole. As you can see, this is exactly where your chest is, okay. So when you'll be drawing the chest line, you will be drawing at 8.5. Now if there would be a waist over here, you can just put your inch tape from here until there, and you can measure where the waist shape is. If you have a kurti which has a waist, then you can measure. If it's at 14.5, you take the measurement at 14.5. That what is the waist measurement over there. Likewise, you take the measurement of the hips, and where you'll take the measurement of hips is exactly where the seam starts. The chalk start right here. This is where your hip starts. So this measurement is basically like this. Okay, so at 23 inches, right at 23 inches is where you should mark the starting of your chalks, or you can call it a hip line. And from this point until this point, the hip is 21.5 inches. Okay, there is no waist in this one. So from chest over here is 19.5 inches at 8.5 inch, and the hip line is at 23 inches and it is 21.5 inch. Okay, and likewise you'll go down all the way and you'll measure the daman. So from this point to this point, it is 25 inches. Daman is 25 inches. Now this is a long shirt. So now you know that what are the vertical measurements and what are the horizontal measurements. When you are drafting it yourself, you need to know where you have to start the hip line, where you have to make the chest line so that you can draw the armhole over there. That is why these vertical measurements are important. Okay, otherwise you won't be able to know that where do I have to put the waistline. If it is, let's say if it is 18 inches, but you don't know where do you want to put it, you want to give the waist at 12 inches or 15 inches, or what is the measurement that you like. So you need to know what are the vertical measurements. Now this is done, and then of course your length is from that point until the end of the shirt. So in this particular case, the length is coming out to be 45 inches. I don't know if I'm on camera or not, but in this particular case, this is 45 inches, and I absolutely love this fitting. I absolutely love this fitting. So this is what I'm going to be following for probably the shirt if I'll be making. Okay, now let's move on to the neckline. Let me unpin these. Now, the neckline is from this point where the neckline is starting, from this point to this point. Now, very important thing is that you don't want to stretch the neckline. Just let it be as it is. And from this point, you'll put your inch tape over here and until this point. This is exactly 8 inch. As you can see that from this point until this point, it is 8 inches. Okay, I haven't stretched it. Just laying down it flat, it is 8 inches. Now you'll use a ruler or something to mark your midpoint. This is the midpoint to take the depth of your neckline. For the back one, you'll put your inch tape right at the same point, and from there down here diagonally, it is 4.5 inches. Okay, right in the middle of the neckline. This is 4.5 inches depth of the back neckline, and of the front neckline, if you want to take it until here, you can take it until here where it opens up, but I want to take it until this point, so I'm taking until only this point. Again, diagonally, starting from here, not from here or anywhere else, or even at the end of from the end of the inch tape. You'll start right from this corner, you'll put it over here, and then you'll come diagonally, and this is 6 inches. And that's exactly what I want my neckline to be. 4.5 for the back depth and 6 inches for the front depth, with the neckline to be 8 inches wide. And the trim that they have made is exactly 1 inch wide. The trim that they have made is 1 inch wide, the finishing. Okay, now let's moving on to the armhole and the sleeve. So the sleeve length is from this seam where the shoulder is attached to the sleeve, from this point, this seam, until the end of the sleeve. This is 21.25 inch. And then the armhole is, you'll just lay your shirt flat and you'll start marking, you'll start measuring from this point, the top of the shoulder, and you'll follow along the seam. Gently follow along the seam, keep moving your inch tape with the shirt, and when you get to the end, this is 9.75 inches. The armhole, as I measured from this point until this point, you'll keep moving the inch tape along at the seam. I'm showing you one more time, and then you'll measure, and it's coming out to be 9.75 inches is the armhole. And then the sleeve open is, you measure it like this. This is 5.75 inches. The sleeve open over here is actually 6 inches. I'm sorry, it's 6 inches. Okay, so this is how you take the measurements. All the measurements are now ready. So these are all the basic measurements you need from a ready-made kurti to start your cutting process. In my next video, I'll be using these exact measurements to cut and stitch a velvet kurti step by step. So make sure you are subscribed and turn on the notification bell. If this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone who is learning sewing at home. I do have a bunch of videos lined up for sewing lessons that are very beginner friendly, so I would like to see you in those videos as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.